Hello, Nick and
Hi,
Merlin. How are you
Karen.
Hi,
today?
Karen.
Very good.
Not bad, thanks.
It's such a delight to talk with you. I've been such a fan of Wallace and Gromit for many years now, so this is such a thrill for me.
That's
Thank you.
amazing. Thank you.
And it's been a while for you too. It's been a while since we've had any Wallace and Gromit stories, but
Mm.
especially a feature film. So just I guess to start off, can you talk about why you were ready to bring them back to a feature-length movie?
Yeah. Well, it's always really about finding that idea, that has real potential and real legs, But it didn't start as a feature, actually. It was actually an idea for a 30-minute TV short about around the time of Curse of the Were-Rabbit. It was just the idea of Wallace inventing a smart gnome, a robot gnome to help Gromit in the garden with his garden chores. And it kind of developed over quite a bit of time, and it was always lacking something a bit more sinister that's always in a Wallace and Gromit film. A sinister, a motivated villain, really, um, was seemed to be lacking. And that was like when the big idea kicked in about 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. What what a perfect idea to bring back Feathers McGraw, which we hadn't intended doing at the time. But he fitted so well and really solved a big story issue that suddenly everything just became much more compelling and
It grew into a feature at
and
that
it
point,
grew
didn't
into a
it? Yeah.
feature at that point. Yeah, it did. And it suddenly it's a personal story then, and it was like the a vendetta. The Cape Fear with penguins just seemed like an idea that lit our yeah lit our fuse.
Yeah. How exciting was it for you? I mean, you're talking about being really enthusiastic about it, but that when that idea did form of we're going to bring back Feathers McGraw and he's going to be the villain of this story, just what were some of the things that came about story-wise for you and creatively um as a result of that decision?
Well, I think one of the first things was actually a bit of a problem. I mean, we were very conscious of Feathers's powerful presence in wrong trousers, and it was just a case of making sure that it really was uh, going to be good enough for him because he's such a strong, powerful character. We couldn't bring him back frivolously,
No,
so
not
just
yeah.
just making sure that we did him duty of made sure that the film we made with him was going to be
Yes,
up to muster, and it
because Wrong Trousers has got had such a big kind
yeah,
of following that we didn't want to mess that up.
quite a pressure.
Yeah, but it as soon as we I think it's when it became because there was a lot of question about, well, what does he want, and obviously he's got his eye on the diamond again, um, but it had to be more than that, and it is when it became that revenge
Mm,
movie that it really took off because
yeah.
then we could play with the genre, we could play with him doing exercises in prison, and all this kind of all sorts of jokes in prison and how he breaks out.
And one of the big things we wrestled with was that we really wanted his presence to be felt, but we didn't want to show him too much, especially in the first act, and that his presence would be powerful without him being there until we wanted him to show his full colours and sort of reveal himself. So that is very much easier said than done. Um,
Yeah, we played around with that a lot, didn't we?
yeah,
Different, put him in different parts of the film and then
yeah,
pull back.
yeah.
Yeah.
You already mentioned a reference to Cape Fear, and there are some other
Yeah.
references to familiar movies, especially 90s movies, I noticed. When you are referencing other films, is that something that you set out like, oh, I have this movie, I want to make sure that we work something in, or do they just kind of happen as you're writing? Where do those references come in?
Bit of both,
Yeah.
really. It's whatever suits the genre, suits the whatever. We're free with it, really. We kind of jump from it just nods to different films and
And sometimes they're subconscious
yeah,
or totally accidental or subconsciously they come out of us because people go, "Oh, that reference, what? Oh, yeah, that we went to do that, yeah."
yeah, yeah, yeah. One of the big things was Village of the Damned.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah, 60s film, based on the Midwich Cuckoos, John Wyndham, and it's the way that freaked me out as a kid. That the way that kids, that they're possessed by some alien force,
Yeah.
they just walk around and they all suddenly stop and turn at the same time.
Yeah.
And so that the gnomes were very much that kind of idea.
And Hitchcock's Rebecca, especially Mrs. Danvers, the way she was framed with lighting and the way she moved in and out of the light, the way she gliding around the scene, sort of a bit like a mannequin, and the way she was gaslighting Rebecca,
Joan
Fontaine's character, yeah, and that was quite a big influence in the film noir nature of it. Very much an influence on us.
So you also mentioned, you'd had this idea for the smart gnome and things, and even just in the last 5 years since you were really really looking at the story, things have changed. How do you prepare a film that's going to be coming out in a couple of years so that it still feels so timely?
No, we kind of came on it by accident in a
Yeah.
way. But as soon as I remember pitching that idea to Mark Burton, our screenwriter, and that's what really kind of lit him up about the whole idea, was that he suddenly saw that this is such even though it's a metaphor, for our relationship, our love affair with tech. It's Wallace and Gromit, so it's done in a very just a humorous way with a light touch, and then an absurd kind of way. So it's not too like as if we are trying to be hard sell about it.
That's right. And in the sort of the early development of the film, AI was a thing, but it certainly wasn't the hot topic, especially within the creative arts that it is today. And that for us is just an interesting meeting of the ways, really. Partly to do with the fact that it takes us blooming ages to make a film, but partly with the speed at which technology advances. And it makes the light-hearted questions we are asking about our relationship with technology actually significant, especially within the creative arts.
Yeah.
And a lot of it kind of lends itself to comedy anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that there's so many great benefits that obviously do come from tech. We're not being too black and white about it, but it's just our love affair we have with it.
Yeah.
With a smartphone, predictive text always drives me crazy because I don't think it's ever come up with the word I'm trying to get ever.
So true.
I just want to throw it out the window. And it's like,
yeah, we all have them, and we're all addicted to them.
We can't go out without one.
Yeah.
But that's
Well,
an addiction.
these conversations always go so fast. So I guess this is probably my last question.
Sorry.
For each of you, what is a scene that you just really love in Vengeance Most Fowl? Like kind of maybe one of your favorite character moments.
I like there's a scene I did there's a moment in it which I love, which is when Gromit goes down into the basement to try and discover what the Norbots are doing. Norbots are up to something. There's a big kind of thing going on, and Gromit's sneaking up on them, and he steps on the rubber duck, and everything goes silent, and he's just there, completely exposed. I love that moment in the film.
Good.
Yeah, I love them all. I think probably the one that stands out for me is when Gromit goes to bed and reads his book by Virginia Woolf, and Norbot comes in and starts charging himself up. When he says, and he's really getting on Gromit's nerves, and Gromit's trying to get to sleep, and then he says, 1%, charged 1%. Yeah, just the comedy of it and the subtlety.
Yeah. So fun. It's such a delightful movie, and I'm so happy that Wallace and Gromit are back on screen. So,
thank you.
Congratulations to both of you, and thank you so much for your time today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.